Mike Wang and Ronnie 2K, do y'all niggas test the fucking game before y'all release this shit, my nigga? How you gonna release the game and this shit's lagging, chopping? My niggas shooting 5 for 16 every game. Niggas giving a shot. This shit's not consistent. I'm losing my voice. Nigga, fuck you, Ronnie, and fuck you, Michael Wang.
Look different, but it's pretty much the same game that we've always had, and I know it's going to frustrate you. This game is not going to bring you much joy and happiness. It's going to bring you more frustration.
It is what it is. I won't be playing this shit. I don't advise any of y'all to play this shit. The main reason I don't want to play this shit is because I don't want to contribute to 2K having more motherfucking money in their pocket to fuck us up.
That's why 2K is the way it is. That's why the gameplay hasn't changed. That's why the graphics haven't been improved. It's because they don't need to do anything, because everybody in the community is spending more money on microtransactions. That's why they're never going to change their ways.
Your time is better spent on a game that actually respects the intelligence of its player base.
And I feel so bad, bro. I feel so bad. Every time I buy this shit, I feel like I need to play it because I spent so much money on the entry fee.
This is no surprise to anyone. These servers suck cock, balls, and nuts.
It's very hard for me to really see how this game that I love mechanically has turned into something that's just so filled with a lot of corporate shill and greed that it makes it very difficult to recommend to anybody else.
$150 down the fucking drain. It's September. Even in 2K24 right now, I was like, the game's kind of bad, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm already done with this game, and I spent $150 on it 2 fucking weeks ago. I already want to delete it off my console and just be done with it. But I feel guilty about doing that now because I put $150 into it. So I'm going to play it on and off for the rest of this fucking year. And I can promise you, again, on a stack of Bibles, on my family's life, on my own fucking life, I am not buying this dog shit game again.
I bought NBA 2K for the first time in 6 years, with the last one I played being NBA 2K19. When I fired it up, I had this sinking feeling that, honestly, it hasn't changed much. Sure, the graphics are sharper and there are a few more animations, but deep down it feels like the same game I left behind all those years ago. It's like they put all their energy into making it look prettier, but the core experience is still stuck in the past. Take MyCareer for example. I used to love the storytelling, especially in NBA 2K16. The feeling of progression building up my player. Now, unless you're willing to drop real money on virtual currency, it's a grind. And the neighborhood, or should I say the city now? Yeah, it's bigger, but it's just a bigger space to run around. Not much substance. The same street ball games, the same quests, but somehow even more reliant on spending cash if you want to be competitive. I remember NBA 2K19 being a bit of a grind too, but at least it felt like I could make progress without having to empty my wallet. And the gameplay. Man, I was hoping for something fresh. I wanted it to feel more responsive and more realistic, but instead, it's the same old clunky mechanics. Even though one of the only selling points for this game was that they included 9,000 new animations. My ass. The AI still makes the same bonehead moves, and it's frustrating when you're trying to play a tight game of basketball, but your teammates or even opponents just don't act right. It's not even that it's a bad game. It's still the best basketball sim out there. But after 6 years, I was expecting more. I wanted to feel something new, but it feels like they've just been content to keep things as they were, knowing people will buy it with no competition. And honestly, I'm kind of impressed with how little they've changed. The formula works just enough to keep people hooked, but it's not enough for me anymore. I miss when NBA 2K felt exciting, when each year brought something new and worth diving into. Now it's just like a money-making machine that forgot what made it special in the first place. But how did we even get to this point? For that, we have to go to the beginning. The NBA 2K series has come a long way since its debut in 1999. Initially developed by Visual Concepts and published by Sega Sports for the Dreamcast, NBA 2K quickly gained attention for its detailed player models and more authentic gameplay compared to its main competitor, NBA Live. The series was off to a promising start, with early releases like NBA 2K1 introducing online multiplayer and Street Courts, and NBA 2K2 expanding to platforms like PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. These early games laid the foundation for what would become one of the most iconic franchises in sports gaming. In the mid-2000s, NBA 2K began transitioning from a competitor to a powerhouse in basketball video games. After NBA 2K5, Take-Two's interactive 2K Sports took over publishing duties, which marked the beginning of the franchise's dominant run. NBA 2K6 through NBA 2K9 made significant strides in both gameplay realism and features. By the time NBA 2K10 came out, the series had introduced MyPlayer mode, which allowed gamers to create their own custom player and take them through a career in the NBA. setting the stage for one of the series' most popular game modes. The franchise hit its golden age with NBA 2K11, which is often hailed as one of the best sports games ever made, featuring Michael Jordan on the cover and a Jordan Challenge mode that let players relive his greatest moments. NBA 2K11 was a massive hit. From there, NBA 2K12 and 2K13 built on its success, adding features like Legends mode and the fan favorite MyTeam mode. And people don't realize MyTeam was actually really popular before VC infected the entire site. By this point, NBA 2K clearly overtook NBA Live as the go-to basketball game for both casual and hardcore fans. The series continued to evolve in the mid-2010s, with NBA 2K14 making the leap to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, showcasing next-gen graphics and introducing EuroLeague teams. NBA 2K16, directed by Spike Lee, offered one of the most immersive MyCareer storylines in the entire series, while online features like Pro-Am and MyPark allow players to compete in street ball style games online with 3 different factions. These additions help NBA 2K not only appeal to basketball fans, but also build a massive online community, and a lot of YouTubers actually got their start from NBA 2K16 MyPark. However, over the years, the 2K community started to catch on about 2K and their obsession with microtransactions. Starting with NBA 2K18, the introduction of the neighborhood, a fully explorable hub for MyPlayer, came out with the downside of requiring real money to progress quickly, frustrating many players. Despite these complaints, 2K18 remained successful, with each new edition offering improvements to MyCareer, MyTeam, and MyLeague modes. Games like NBA 2K19 and 2K20 introduced significant updates, including the addition of the WNBA in NBA 2K20, further broadening the game's inclusivity. NBA 2K25 feels like it's taken a step back, with every game mode having more problems than positives. MyCareer, once a fan favorite, has turned into a grind for microtransactions, where VC, not skill, drives progress. MyTeam has become a frustrating loot box gamble, while the neighborhood, which used to be a fun interactive space, now feels like a buggy, laggy mess with go-karts. Even franchise mode, a staple for classic players, feels stale with repetitive AI and little innovation. The lack of competition has allowed 2K to focus more on squeezing money from players than improving the game, and every update feels like it's just covering up issues rather than fixing them. What once celebrated basketball now seems more focused on profit, and the soul of NBA 2K got lost in the process. MyTeam in NBA 2K25 has really taken a nosedive, and it's frustrating to see how far it's fallen. The whole mode feels like it's shifted completely towards squeezing every cent out of the player base. The pay-to-win elements that have been creeping in over the years are now front and center, making it almost impossible to build a competitive team without dropping serious cash from packs. Even when you open the game, there's 2 advertisements that you could accidentally click on and buy packs, which is literally predatory that mobile games do. You can spend hours grinding, only to earn enough currency for a single pack with a low chance of pulling anything decent. What's worse is that the card tiers and reward systems are more unbalanced than ever. You could play for weeks grinding to build your best team possible, and still get outclassed by Jimmy who just bought his way to the top. The card releases are so frequent and stacked that if you're lucky enough to pull a good player, they're outdated within a couple weeks. It makes it feel like whatever progress you made is constantly being validated. The lack of meaningful changes to the gameplay in MyTeam is another major letdown. It's like they've completely focused on monetization while ignoring the actual experience. The same AI issues persist, and the online matchmaking is a nightmare. You either get matched with someone who's way above your level, or you're up against an inexperienced player who stands no chance. There's no balance, and the grind doesn't even feel worth it when much of the mode is designed to push microtransactions. The community has been vocal about these issues for years, but 2K doesn't seem to care. They keep doubling down on monetization strategies without addressing the underlying problem, and the reason for it is because people keep buying these packs year after year, whether it's a YouTuber or a random MyTeamer. They will continue to buy packs and continue to put money in 2K's wallet. It's a shame because MyTeam used to be about building your dream squad or having fun experimenting with different lineups. Now it's all about who's willing to spend the most money. It's made the mode almost unplayable unless you're prepared to shell out for virtual cards. And for a lot of fans, that's a deal breaker. I mean, the game just came out a month ago and we already have 99 overalls in MyTeam. What are we doing? I remember NBA 2K16 being the last year where the ratings that you got in MyTeam were actually the ratings on the actual roster themselves, which made opening packs at least worth it, especially that 99 overalls weren't in the game until the very end of the season. But it doesn't feel like they're gonna fix MyTeam anytime soon. The MyEras mode, also known as the new MyLeague in NBA 2K25, is one of the standout features that offers a nostalgic dive into different eras of basketball, letting fans relive pivotal moments in NBA history, whether that be drafting some kid named Michael Jordan or drafting LeBron James. When they first introduced it, it was a refreshing take that added some depth and variety to the franchise mode. The idea of jumping into the league during a specific time period and experiencing the unique challenges and dynamics of those times was really appealing. But then with the addition of the Curry area this year, feels like they dropped the ball big time. The concept of a Curry era makes sense in the vacuum. Steph Curry has changed the game with his shooting and helped usher in a new style of basketball. However, the execution of this era in NBA 2K25 feels half-baked. One of the biggest letdowns is that the roster isn't even complete. You'd think for an era named after Curry and centered around his influence, they make sure that all the key players from that time would be in the game. But instead, we're missing some crucial pieces. Some of those pieces being John Wall, Blake Griffin, Goran Dragic, Serge Ibaka, Myers Leonard, Will Barton, Noah Vonleh, Dwayne Dedmon, Frank Kaminsky, Rodney McGruder, JaMychal Green, and Nerlens Noel. And even Andre Iguodala's in there. But 2K, if the fate of the world was put into one person shooting a shot,
I want Iguodala.
It's frustrating for anyone who is excited to dive into this era, expecting having a fully fleshed out experience. It's disappointing because MyEras has so much potential, and the Curry era in particular could have been a great way to experience the modern NBA revolution. But when you don't even have all the right players on the teams or the rosters aren't reflective of that era's significance, it feels like a missed opportunity. They introduced this exciting new era, but didn't put any effort into making it feel complete. There are teams that have 6 real players on them. How is that even possible? It wasn't even 10 years ago. At the end of the day, it looks like they didn't even care about this mode and purposely rushed it and put it into the game without actually caring about putting everyone into the game, which is really sad to see. MyPark and MyCareer and NBA 2K25 have become major sources of frustration for a lot of players, myself included. These modes were once the heart and soul of the 2K experience, offering a mix of street ball fun in MyPark and an immersive, personalized story in MyCareer. But now, they both feel like hollow versions of what they used to be, bogged down by bad design choices and an overemphasis on microtransactions. Starting with MyPark, it's clear that the focus has shifted away from the fun, pickup games to something that feels more like a grind for virtual currency. The matchmaking is all over the place. If you're not already rocking a high-rated player, you'll get stopped by teams that have clearly paid to upgrade their players. It doesn't help that progression is painfully slow unless you're willing to fork over real money to boost your stats. What used to be a chill, enjoyable mode for hanging out with friends and playing street ball has turned into a grind fest, where whoever spends the most money wins the game. You can't even start your career without being constantly reminded how much faster you can improve if you just buy more VC. Want to raise your player stats to a competitive level? That'll take hours of grinding, or you could just pay to skip the effort. It completely kills the joy of building your player up from nothing, which used to be the whole point of MyCareer. The storyline itself in NBA 2K25 is lackluster. In previous years, you had at least some emotional connection to the narrative, whether it was a cheesy underdog story or a more serious tale of making it into the NBA, but now it just feels like they put zero effort into making the career mode more engaging or immersive. You just go through the motions, do pointless quests that barely tie to basketball, like fashion shows or influencer collaborations which take away from the core basketball experience, play through high school, play one game in college, and you're immediately in the NBA. For the team you want to play for, which makes no sense. Both MyPark and MyCareer are buried under a system that prioritizes squeezing every dollar out of players rather than delivering a rewarding and fun experience. Instead of feeling like a star in the making, you're just a cash cow for their virtual economy. It's sad because they used to be the premier modes of 2K, but now they just feel like chores, unless you're willing to pay your way through them. When I think back to the days of NBA 2K16 or 2K17, it's hard to not feel like the franchise completely lost its way. These games, despite their age, offered experiences that felt balanced, fun, and genuinely rewarding. The NBA 2K16 took everything to a whole nother level. The Spike Lee directed MyCareer storyline might have been a bit dramatic, but it gave you a sense of purpose. You weren't just grinding to improve stats, you were living out the ups and downs of an NBA player's life, from high school dreams to making it to the league. There was something special about it, something that made you feel connected to your player and everyone around you. Plus, MyPark had affiliations back then, with Sunset Beach, Old Town, and Rivet City being the main ones, each with their own unique rewards. You'd play for pride, and your skill actually mattered. It wasn't about who dumped the most real cash into the game. Then there was NBA 2K17, the game that really perfected what came before. MyCareer had this cool dynamic with Orange Juice, where you and Justice Young became a duo on the court, and you could actually control both players during games. The progression system still felt fair, and the grind was something that you could manage without feeling like you were constantly being asked to buy more VC. And MyTeam? It was accessible, and there were new modes like MyTeam Blacktop, where you could enjoy 3v3 street ball with your card collecting squad. There was a nice balance between grinding and spending money, and you felt like your time was respected. Even in MyLeague and MyGM, the customization options were insane. You could create your own leagues, change rules, relocate teams. There was so much depth for franchise players. The gameplay felt tight, and even the Pro-Am was fantastic because it lets you create a squad with your friends and compete in structured 5v5 games. It wasn't just about upgrading your player's stats through VC, it was about working together as a team, building chemistry and improving your game. Now I can't even access the main menu without acting like an old person not knowing where to go. It is ridiculous. Now when I look at NBA 2K25, it's like all that's been thrown out the window in favor of squeezing every dollar out of the players. MyCareer has become a grindy, pay-to-progress mess. The storylines lack depth, The grind is unbearable without buying VC, and MyPark or the city now feels like a completely empty corporate playground where skill is secondary to how much money you spent. It's a shame because those older games managed to keep things fun and balanced, without constantly reminding you that you're at a disadvantage unless you open your wallet. Back then it was about basketball. Now it's about business. The real reason NBA 2K25 the way it is right now comes down to one thing and one thing only. The NBA 2K franchise is a monopoly, and as long as they remain the only serious basketball game in town, we're stuck. Why would they bother even making real improvements when they know there's no competition breathing down their neck? There's no need to innovate when people are still going to buy the same game every year, even with all the issues, because literally there's no alternative. Even the idea of competition sounds great in theory, but in reality, it's not that simple. Look what happened to NBA Live, the series that kept up for a while, but couldn't compete with 2K's depth and polish back in the mid-2010s. Eventually, EA threw in the towel. Now without their only legitimate competitor, 2K can afford to get complacent. They know people will buy the game no matter how bad the microtransactions get, no matter how repetitive the modes become, because where else are basketball fans supposed to go to? What's worse is that the fanbase has also been conditioned to accept it. Every year we hear the same complaints. MyCareer is pay to win. MyTeam is a cash grab. The gameplay barely changes. And yet, every year, people still line up to buy the game. We've been stuck in this loop for so long that a lot of players have just resigned themselves to it. We're frustrated, sure, but at the end of the day, we love basketball. And there's no other game that even comes close to what NBA 2K offers, as flawed as it may be. The real problem is that it's going to take more than just another game showing up to force 2K to change. For competition to really matter, it would have to be from a developer with the resources, time, and vision to not only match NBA 2K, but actually surpass it. That's a huge challenge. We're talking about years of development, licensing issues, and the enormous budget. And let's be real, who's going to take that risk when NBA 2K is such a juggernaut? Even if someone tried, it would take years to rival 2K or even try and match them. And until someone steps up with a true competitor, we're probably never going to see any kind of improvement we've been begging for. They can get away with releasing essentially the same game every year because they don't have to worry about losing their fan base. No matter how laggy or how money greedy they are, we're basketball fans, and 2K knows that they're the only option, which gives them no real incentive to push themselves. As long as they control the market, the game will continue to be more about profit than the players. When NBA 2K25 released, I actually had a retrospective video already out on my YouTube channel called a NBA 2K16 retrospective. And the moment that video released, 100 people were recommended that exact video. Because people always reminisce about the old days when the current product is not good enough. And what happened is 2K became complacent. And they will continue to become complacent as the only monopoly of any basketball game out there until we have a real competitor. And there's really only one real solution for this. Us, the fans, need to stop buying the game. And I know what you guys are thinking, Justin, how dumb are you? They're still going to make a lot of money. But if one person tells two people not to buy the game, those two people tell another two people to not buy the game, and it multiplies, and it starts to become a traction of, we don't accept garbage anymore. Look at Concord. Concord was the biggest excuse of, we're not buying a game just to buy a game. We need to do that with NBA 2K, and it's sad to see how far it's fell from grace. Even playing the game, it feels terrible. I mean, the fact that some people are giving this game 8 out of 10s, 7 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, show they're literally getting paid by 2K. Because the gameplay is decent at best. It's very mediocre compared to what it was before. I don't understand it, but hopefully we can turn this around because I love NBA 2K. This, like I said, this is the first game I bought since NBA 2K19. And it literally hasn't gotten better, which says a lot. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell for future notifications. And comment below what your favorite NBA 2K game is. And I will see you guys next time.